Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to Fallout, where today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 most difficult to find weapons in Fallout. This is going to be going over all the Fallout games, besides like 76, because I still haven't played it, and Tactics, because I couldn't really think of any that really fit here. Most of the ones in Tactics you can usually get just from playing through the story, with a few exceptions that are at like special locations. But there's nothing that's like way crazy in that one. So let's begin with this. Coming in at my number 10 spot, we have Zoolong Carbine from Fallout New Vegas. Now this one kind of fills the role of any weapon that's difficult to get because it's on like a named character. And this can be difficult if you wish to keep that character alive, or if that character needs to stay alive for like the game to progress. Luckily in New Vegas, no character actually has like invulnerability. You can kill everybody besides I guess like Yes Man, since he can infinitely resurrect himself. He's the only person that you can't kill like definitively in Fallout New Vegas. So you can get this one from killing Corporal Sterling, that's with the NCR. However, if you don't want to do that, and you would like to still get this weapon, you can do that. You can potentially reverse pickpocket him. To do this, you just need a better weapon, so if you took like a sniper rifle, pickpocket him, put the sniper rifle in his bag, he might swap to the sniper rifle. Otherwise, you could potentially pickpocket his ammo from him, wait a little bit, and then pickpocket the gun from him. The reason why I put this one up here, even though there's quite a few other weapons that kind of fit into the same role, like the kneecapper from Fallout 3, or the big boomer from Fallout New Vegas as well, is that this one is probably the most difficult weapon to get off of a character, because there's other people around him constantly. So no matter where you're at, since he can be at Camp McCarran, or he can be at Camp Forlorn Hope, either of those places, there's always a ton of NCR troops around there, so it's really easy to potentially get caught trying to pickpocket, and this is just a very difficult weapon to pickpocket off of him in the first place. You might need stealth boys to get it. If you do get it, it's actually a pretty good gun, though. It's the unique cowboy repeater, where it has a scope on it, and it has the extended tube holding 11 rounds rather than the 7 like the regular cowboy repeater has, as well as it does have the same reload animation from the lever actions in Fallout 3, so you reload the entire thing. That's kind of useful, and it does do pretty good damage per second. That's also a bonus. I don't know if I would necessarily say this one is better or worse than the regular cowboy repeater once it's fully decked out. Since you can still have like the long tube on that, you can have the lighter weight frame on it, or I guess just the maple body on it, I should say. And you can also have the faster action on it, which are all pretty good things. So it's kind of up to you if you even want to pickpocket this one, but it can be kind of difficult to get, unless of course you're siding against the NCR, like let's say with the Legion, in which case then this one is really easy to get, because then all you have to do is kill him and then take it off of him. Coming in at my number 9 spot, we have the Perforator from Fallout 3. The Perforator from Fallout 3 is the second to last reward that you get from the pit, so long as you're willing to go and collect so many steel ingots. And that's why it scores so high up here. You need 90 steel ingots to get this one. There's 100 steel ingots in total in the pit, and it can be quite a chore going around and looking for them. If it's your first time going through the pit, it can be very frustrating if you want to 100% it, because some of these are really well hidden, and you have to go around the entire steel yard in order to get it. Once you do get it, though, the Perforator is a pretty cool reward, since it's a unique assault rifle, or a unique infiltrator, which is already a unique assault rifle, where it does have a scope and a suppressor on there, and it does do more damage per shot than the other assault rifles, but it does shoot a little bit slower. It is also one of the few weapons in Fallout 3 that has a scope on it by default, so you can actually ADS with this as opposed to the other assault rifles, aside from the infiltrators, which you can't do that. So that's why this one scores so high, because it is kind of difficult, and there's a couple areas in the pit that are just a little bit janky to get to, and places that you may not really think to look for quite a while unless you already know where things are. Coming in at number 8, we have the Problem Solver from Fallout 4. This one is the unique AK, one of the unique AKs that you can get. It's this and the Splatter Cannon, which are both incredibly overpowered. They are probably the most overpowered weapon in Fallout 4, in my opinion. So this is in the Nuka World DLC, and you do have to pick specific dialogue options in order to get this, as well as you need to have enough charisma in order to convince him to get this, because if you fail the charisma checks, then you're just not going to get the Problem Solver, which is why it's here. Because on like a first playthrough or a blind playthrough through Nuka World, it's very unlikely that you're actually going to get this. You might if you ran a high charisma character and you're just like kind of opposed to the Raiders in general, then they might actually give this one to you. And this one isn't necessarily the worst one to miss out on, simply because the Splatter Cannon also exists. And that one you can just buy from Nuka World. Sadly, that's how it is with a lot of weapons in Fallout 4, is that you just kind of have to buy them. This one was like the one weapon I can kind of think of besides like another one that's going to be coming up here real soon. But this is one of the few weapons that I can think of in Fallout 4 that's guaranteed that is pretty easy to miss. So it is up here, and you could argue this one's even better than the splatter cannon simply because you can get it for free. The splatter cannon is extremely expensive, but if you have a lot of caps, it's not a big deal. If you rush Nuka World though, then the problem solver is going to make the entire game extremely easy. Like the Furious status effect is kind of crazy on a rifle. It was only meant to be on melee and unarmed. But once they put it on the AKs, it's incredibly overpowered, as you would kind of expect. Coming in at my number 7 spot, we have Colonel Autumn's 10mm pistol. This is from Fallout 3, and this one's technically a gun that you're not even supposed to get, but you can get it. You can even get it on console, so that's why I'm including it here. Now, this one is only obtainable at the Project Purity after so far into the quest. When Colonel Autumn actually shows up. This is the first time he's showing up and the first time the Enclave is actually showing up. But once the area is locked and it kind of kills everybody within that area, it doesn't actually kill Autumn. I don't think that's a real big spoiler, but technically his body is lootable at that point. The main problem is that you have a locked wall that you cannot unlock no matter what. Now, if you're on PC, you could just TCL through the wall. You can just console command right through it. That's not a big deal, but at that point you could just console command the weapon to actually be in your inventory too. The thing that you can do on PC and on console though, is if you go into third person and you spin your camera around at the right angle, you can actually interact with bodies through walls. This is actually really useful for reverse pickpocketing and pickpocketing in general, because you can usually get to a safe area like behind a wall where nobody can see you, spin the camera around, reach through the wall, grab whatever you need, and then you're good. This actually lets you get 2 unique items here, 1 piece of armor, and then Colonel Autumn's 10mm pistol. This weapon isn't really all that crazy. It's slightly better than a regular 10mm pistol, which is a pretty good pistol overall, but it's not like the craziest 10mm thing that you can get. I just wanted to include it here because it's kind of a fun, like out of bounds thing that you can still get even if you're playing on console. Coming in at number 6, we have the unique BB gun. So this is the LE Kid BB gun, or kind of just BB guns in general at 6, because BB guns, for some odd reason in the Fallout games, tend to be very rare, with a couple exceptions, and the unique versions of it with the LE BB gun are no exception. This is mostly going with the LE BB gun from Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, because those were completely random encounters. So based on the amount of luck that you had, you might get a random encounter, and it might be the one for the unique BB gun. And in Fallout 1 and 2, the unique BB gun was actually really strong. Like, if you got this early on enough, it was a really good weapon, because it did 25 to 25 damage, so it had extremely consistent damage. That was actually matching and sometimes outcompeting things like a sniper rifle. If your BB gun is beating out like a pretty high tier rifle, at least in my opinion, that's pretty good. The other kind of problem with this, though, is also finding BBs in those older games. That's not such a big deal in like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas, you could at least get the unique LE BB gun. You were guaranteed to get that. There was kind of a other unique encounter if you took Wild Wasteland to get it, but it was still available regardless. And in that game, it was actually really strong too, where it didn't do very much damage, but it did like 75 crit damage. About the same amount of crit damage as like a brush gun hit, which is really strong. Coming in at number 5 for basically the same reason is the Alien Blaster, and kind of just take your pick on whichever game you want to insert here, because the Alien Blaster has almost always been in the Fallout games, and it's almost always been a difficult to find weapon, at least if you're going in completely blind just trying to find it. Because in like Fallout 1 and 2, that actually might be the easiest one to find because it's also based on a random encounter, so you just have to get lucky. If you have a character with high luck and you end up just wandering around the map, you might end up finding it like super early on, and then you have a really powerful weapon that you can use throughout the entire game. And the Alien Blaster has pretty much always been really strong. It wasn't in Tactics, so you couldn't actually get it there, even though there was sort of random encounters. In Fallout 3, it was in a set location, sort of, if you're just counting the regular Alien Blaster, as well as there was actually a second Alien Blaster in Fallout 3 in the Enclave DLC in Broken Steel. You just needed to get into a locked box in the Enclave area at the very end of the game. So there was actually 2 that you could get there, and there was actually the Fire Lance in Fallout 3 too, which was based on a random encounter. You just had to wander around and go to the random encounter locations, and then you might get the Fire Lance. And hopefully you can find the Fire Lance because it just throws it somewhere on the floor as well as all the ammo on the floor. If you have Dog Meat, then it's a little bit easier to get because you can just tell him to go look for a weapon and he can find it that way, which is pretty useful. You can also get a couple other weapons in Fallout 3 because of that. In Fallout New Vegas, the Alien Blaster was maybe the easiest one to find, just because it was in a set location. You just had to have Wild Wasteland. So if you didn't have that, then I guess you couldn't get it. But at least then you would also get the unique Gauss rifle there. And then in Fallout 4, it was also in a set location. There was also another one that you could get in Nuka World as well. So there was actually a couple ways you could get the Alien Blaster, but the Alien Blaster has pretty much always been an iconic sort of hidden weapon throughout the Fallout games. It's never been super easy to find, or at least it was never intended to be super easy to find, sometimes entirely luck-based, but it has always been a weapon that's very interesting to find. Coming in at my number 4 spot, we have the Zoolong Assault Rifle. This one is in Fallout 3, and this one is pretty well known. But if you were going in blind, it's got to be one of the easiest weapons to miss in Fallout 3, because this one is tied to an unmarked quest that you have to do in the Museum of Technology. Now, you do have to go through the Museum of Technology if you're doing the main story, so that's not such a big deal, at least up to a certain point. You could actually skip this in terms of the main story overall, but if you're going through the main story normally, you are going to the Museum of Technology. And the thing that you have to do here is you have to find 3 separate computers, and you have to input the dates there. Now, this one's actually not too difficult if you remember it like I do, since it's like the first terminal is the second answer, the second terminal is the third answer, and then the third terminal is the fourth answer, just going down the line that way. That's the way that I remember it, although you can find a note talking about this too. Once you actually get that, then the main safe unlocks in the Museum of Technology. You have to go up there, and then you find another note, and then that will say that there was a meetup at this specific location. The location is a little ways west of Vault 101 where you start out. You can actually go there before you find this note, but there won't be the body with the rifle on it. Once you have this note and you go there, there will be a body inside of a diner that has the Zoolong Assault Rifle, the unique Chinese rifle, which is really good. It's a pretty strong weapon overall, where it does good damage per second, and it also uses a very common round with the 5.56 round, as well as it has an extended mag from the regular Chinese assault rifle, going from 24 to 36 rounds. So it can be really worthwhile, and I know it's a lot of people's favorite weapon, but it is a very obscure weapon if you're trying to find it just laying around anywhere. Coming in at our number 3 spot, we're still staying in Fallout 3 with the experimental MIRV, or the MIRV. And this one is another hidden weapon that's actually tied to another unmarked quest. So this one can be found in the National Guard Depot, but not in the regular Guard Depot. It's actually in the underground bunker in there, and you can't get into there normally. The way that you have to get in is you have to find 4 of the 5 family logs, which are scattered around the map. Now, these are in set locations, but you do have to go out of your way to find 5 separate logs, and pretty much none of them are in, like, convenient locations if you're doing the main story. Sometimes with side quests, they're somewhat nearby, but mostly you're going to get these from just exploring around the map. There's actually a couple, or at least one that I can think of, that's in a completely unmarked location. That's basically just a makeshift shack, structure, something. It's not even really a shack. It doesn't even have a roof, but like a little makeshift structure. There is another one that's just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So exploring the map is going to be your friend, and if you find 4 of these, or if you find all 5, you just need the 4 to actually get the passcodes, then you can go down into the bunker and unlock this. And this is where the unique Fat Man is, and this one is by far the most devastating weapon in Fallout 3. It's not a very practical weapon to be using, because this one fires out 8 mini nukes when you shoot it, and it does the damage of 8 full mini nukes, as well as it kind of just shotguns them out. So you have to be careful with this. You can't use it indoors like at all. You're probably going to die if you do use it indoors, unless you find a building with like really big everything, like not a whole lot of stuff near you whatsoever. I can think of a couple buildings where this one could potentially work in. And it's kind of overkill because Fat Man nukes are sort of limited in Fallout 3. There's only so many of them across the map. I think there's like 50 in total across the map, not counting flak and shrapnels in Rivet City, because those will restock every like 3 days, and usually you can buy 1 to 2. Sometimes they don't have any though. So it's not a very convenient weapon to be using, but it is a very spectacular weapon to be using. Coming in at number 2, we have the toy knife, also in Fallout 3. And this one is an unmarked item. It's not part of an unmarked quest though. It's just you have to go and find it. Now this can be found up north in the swamp. It's near the POW camp up there. You do kind of get that during the quest if you're going for the Chinese spy, which I was debating on putting the backwater rifle here too, because the backwater rifle is a pretty cool reward. But I feel like most people like the Chinese spy quest, so like I didn't really put that here. But there is the toy knife up there somewhere in the woods. You have to find this just by basically wandering around. You can find this on a little box that's sitting out in the woods with a hockey mask next to it, and then the toy knife is there. This one's kind of been debated as to what this is a reference to, whether it's a reference to Halloween with the kitchen knife, or whether it's a reference to Friday the 13th with the hockey mask. It's probably a mixture of both. Now, is the toy knife good? No, it's pretty awful. It's pretty much worse than a regular knife, which is already a really bad weapon, but it's kind of a cool little extra thing to find, and it is completely random, so you could potentially wander upon this, or even if you know that it's out there, it can take you quite a while to actually find it. And then coming in at my number 1 spot, we have this machine from Fallout New Vegas. Now, this one is one that I always get comments on where people didn't even know that it, like, existed. And I don't really blame them, because this is based on an unmarked quest that has multiple parts to it that's in a kind of awkward to get to location to begin with, since this one you can get at Camp McCarran, so you have to go up to the NCR place north of where you start in Fallout New Vegas. It's just right outside of Vegas. This is where the NCR is stationed. And then you have to do an unmarked quest where you can complete it one of 2 ways. So you have to go all the way through the building there, which can take a little while because that's like 3 separate loading screens as you're going through to actually get there. And then you go to the back and talk to Contreras. Contreras is a illegal gun smuggler, but he's also working for the NCR, and he has some stuff that you can buy, including usually a ton of 308 rounds, 5.56 rounds, things like the military rounds. Pretty much he has a lot of them, and he always has like a star bottle cap too. Now, you can either side with him or you can side against him. If you side with him, then the quest can sometimes bug out and it just doesn't work. But to side with him, you have to be a certain level. I think you have to be around level 12 in order to start it. Then he needs so much scrap metal that you can get, and he needs you to run a couple other errands for him. And then once you complete everything for him and you wait so many days, and sometimes it bugs out where the days don't really count, then he might give you this rifle. And this rifle is really strong. The other way, which is a far simpler way, and a guaranteed way to get the rifle, is go up to the top of his area, hack into his computer, which requires 50 science, and then get the weapons manifest. Take that out to one of the other officers, the one that's interrogating the Legion. You can talk to her, and then give her the manifest. Then she'll give you this machine. And this machine is fantastic. It's a really strong weapon. So this is based off the M1 Garand, and it is an extremely powerful weapon in New Vegas. This one has good damage per second, actually really good damage per second. It uses the 308 round, so it's super versatile. It has a massive amount of HP. It has like 600 HP, which is insane. The rifle takes forever to break. It's one of the most durable weapons in the game. It reloads really fast. It holds 8 rounds. The only kind of downside to this rifle, besides it not being affected by the grunt perk, which would be awesome. That would actually make it truly, really strong. But the only other downside is that it's not super accurate at long range. That's not a big deal, though. And you can get this gun, like, right away if you have 50 science. It's really strong to run to Camp McCarran, grab as much 308 ammo that you can from Contreras, and then just have this gun, and you don't really need anything else. The funny thing about this, though, is that this gun would be included later on with the Gunner's Arsenal DLC in the battle rifle, which you just needed to buy. But this one came out well before that. It was in the base game of Fallout New Vegas. It's just in a very obscure location, and if you're doing Contreras' part, takes quite a bit and might just bug out the quest, in which case you can't really get it unless you turn him in. Tell me your thoughts on these weapons, and also which of these have you missed throughout your games. Also, tell me any other weapons that I might have missed here. Like I said, the backwater rifle I was really considering too, because that one's cool with the Chinese spy quest, although I feel like that one you're more likely to get than some of these others. Either way, thank you guys so very much for watching this. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.